Hey there, folks! Welcome back to this mod spotlight series on how to build a castle using the composer and the builder. And today I'm going to show you how to build this structure. Only we're going to do it even better. Okay, folks. Uh, here's what we're going to be working on today. I'm going to show you how to put all of these shapes together using the composer. But as I said in the intro, we're not going to follow uh, this exact setup. We're going to improve it and give it a little more detail and make it better. Um, the reason being is because this is actually the third time I've recorded this particular video, and I had I the first time I recorded this video, I had the file got corrupted somehow. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but it got corrupted, and I didn't realize it at first. I thought it was just, I wasn't sure what was going on, so I tried recording it again. Instead of with an AVI file, I used a WMV file, and that didn't work. But anyway, so this is the third time I'm recording the video, and I've had a little bit of inspiration. Basically, this composer, what this does is if you take a shape card and you put it in this bottom slot, it becomes a composition card. Okay, it turns it into a composition card. And you set up your dimensions, to whatever you want. And um, oh, I'm wondering, well, this is going to be an interesting test. All right, so, and then when you get out, no, see, it doesn't. I was hoping it would, when I shrink it in here like that, it would shrink it out here because, for some reason, the composer isn't set up to grow and shrink, to fit on the screen. I wish it was, but it isn't. So anyway, once you have the size of your composition card set up, you can take these other shape cards and put them, in these slots and manipulate them. You can this this add button here is telling the composer to combine this shape to whatever is in the previous. Now I always start from the bottom and work my way up. I don't know. I think you could do the same thing and work your way down. I don't think it really matters. But you could also subtract the difference, which means you could create a shape and then put another card in and have that card subtract a shape from that existing shape. You know, uh, you can also intersect. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I'd have to play around with it, but I'm going to keep it simple in this one. You can also flip your shapes. You can turn them on their X, Y, or Z. You can just do all kinds of things within this. So what we're going to do in this episode is we're going to build just this center structure, just the center platform here and this cylinder here. But we're going to take a little bit of time and add some more detail to it. Now, the most optimal use for the composer is if you are working on a shape that you're going to build again and again and again and again. It's kind of like if you're going to make multiple copies. That is the most optimal use, most efficient use of the composer. Now, this is, my main castle that I build in my survival world. It's not necessarily something that I'm going to build again and again and again, but there are other advantages to doing it this way. By building it in the composer first and setting it up as a single structure, you can determine before you lay a single block whether or not you you want to make any changes to it. Uh, because you may get it all together and decide, you know what, you may not like this shape that I've created. You may think it looks silly. You may prefer that, or you may prefer something like that. But regardless, and even with this one, you have to really look at it closely. But I put this one together without using the composer. I just did it with the builder, and I laid these down, and it turns out that I have even number of blocks as the center point. This is a 2 block center instead of a 1 block center. And I would have preferred a 1 block center for that. So, but by the time I figured that all out, I already had most of my structure put together. So, you know, that's something that uh, I think I could have avoided had I used the composer. The other advantage to putting it together in the composer or with the composer first is you get to know pretty much exactly how many blocks it's going to take to build the structure that you're working on. So, you may think when you first start, you may think, well, I think I need 10,000 blocks, and you wait until you have those blocks put together, and then you get halfway through your project and you realize, oh geez, I grossly underestimated the blocks. But if you do this, and the beautiful thing about it is you can determine that with the composer. Like, let's say you start a survival world, and you don't plan on building your main base until you have until you get to the point to where you have have your big reactor or whatever you're going to power your builder with, and you just decide you're not going to build it right away. Well, you can still build the composer because the composer is relatively cheap, and you can start every now and then come to the composer and start adding your structures together and laying it out and planning out your build, and you'll be able to tell through the composer how many blocks you need to save up. Let's say you're going to use marble, which is a little bit more difficult to get than stone is, which is what I'm using. Or maybe you want to use basalt for some parts of it, or some block that isn't as easy to get. So it may take you a longer period of time to collect 20,000 of those blocks. But you can get if you build your structure in the composer first, you can know exactly how many blocks you're going to need. So let me turn the rain off. And I will set it today. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start with the base at the bottom here. So what we'll need to do, well, the first thing we have to do is determine how big our composition card should be. So we're gonna, I think we'll go with the same parameters that this one has. 81 by 97 by 81. So we go 81, we'll go 97 by 81. And the reason why, I think it'll work out just fine is because in the end, the structure we're going to end up with will be a little bit bigger than what it is now. At least it'll take up more space. It won't be really much bigger, but it'll take up a little more space. So we're going to make a few changes to it. So we take our first composition card. We're going to leave that box because we're working on a platform, and the dimensions I want to use are 51. And in the original design that we're using as a foundation, it was 51 by 7, but I'm going to make it a little bit taller, and I think I'm going to go 11 blocks high and 29 blocks deep. We're going to leave that dimension the same, so it'll be a little bit taller. All right, so now it puts that into the composer, but it's floating, you know, in the middle of the composition card. So we don't want it, we want it in the center, but we want it, you know, at the bottom. We want it all the way down. So to figure out where to put that, our overall height is 97. Divide that in half is 48.5. But we are 11 blocks tall. So instead of 48, dropping it 48 blocks, we only have to drop it 41 blocks, I believe. So let's try that. Let's drop it negative 41, negative 41, and take the card out, put it back in, and it does put it at the bottom, but we're gonna take this card out and double check it, because we can't unfortunately shrink it in the composer. We have to look at it in here. So okay, it's still sitting 1 block off of the bottom, or maybe 2. So we're going to drop that down a couple of more blocks. We'll start with 1, but it may end up being 2. So we'll drop it, instead of 41, we'll drop it negative, we'll try 42 first and see what happens. Take that out, put it back in, and then we'll check it again. Wait, what did I do? No, I put the wrong card in there. No, that's just a regular card. Okay. So we look at that. And it does seem to be all the way to the bottom. Okay, so that's good. So now the first change that we're going to make is going to come in. We take this card, we put it back in here, and then we take another shape card, put it in here, and what we're going to do, our original one was 51, so we're going to make this one 53. The height is only going to be 3 blocks, and I'm going to make sure that's hollow. And this is going to be 31. Oops. 31. Okay. And that puts it in there. Now, I've only done this with cylinders, so this is this. No, we're going to have to do this different. With cylinders, it's a lot easier. Set time today. Okay. So we have to do this a little different. So instead of that 31, we're going to make it 1 block. 1 block. And then, how many did we drop this one? 42. So this one is only 3 blocks, so we'll drop it 46. Negative 46. Take it out, put it back in. Oh, and we got to bring it forward. Okay. So half of 29 is 14. So we'll bring it negative, I think negative 15. I think that's what we want. Okay. I don't like that I have to do each side. That's a little too tedious. And it would almost be easier to do that, by hand after we're done. Alright, so we're only going to do that with the cylinders, because the cylinders, it actually works in one, and it just doesn't make sense time-wise. It would actually take us longer to do it in the composer than it would to do it after the component is done. Okay, so let's work on the center cylinder, and in the center cylinder we can actually do the kind of thing that I want to do. Alright, so we set this up as a cylinder, hollow, and the dimensions for my cylinder are 31 by 69 by 25. Alright, so this is going to be dropping it way too low, but I do want to drop it a little bit. 48, 97, minus 69, 28. I think that'll raise it. Negative 13, I think. Oh, and we got it pulled forward, so we got to raise that 11 blocks. And put that back to 0. God, I wish I could just shrink this down a little bit. It's so frustrating. Oh, wow. So if you push shift and do this, you can move it. That helps a great deal. Okay, so now if we take that, so I learned something new. Let's look at that exactly. Level. Yeah, so that, okay, so we have the cylinder in the right position. So yeah, we learned something new. If you push shift and drag it around with your mouse, you can move it around. So that is beautiful, and I just happened to stumble onto that. Alright, so now we're going to add a band right here, right, to add a little bit of contour to the shape. So we'll take another shape card, put it in there. We make this a cylinder, and we make that hollow, and we go 2 blocks bigger, so we're going to go 33, and I think because of the size of this cylinder, 5 is good, and we're going to go 27, and that band should fit, yeah, right around, just right around it like that. So now we just have to drop it down. So we'll drop it down -21. Now if you're really good at math, you could, I mean, you can, let's do the shift thing again and lift this up. If you're really good at math, you could figure out exactly how to, how far to drop, drop things down or whatever. But I am not a math genius. Which, I mean, that should inspire you to have some confidence, because you don't have to be a math genius to do any of the stuff I'm doing. So let's try -31. That'll drop it down 10 more blocks. Let's take the card out, put it back in, and it's going to make us do the shift thing every time. So we'll drop it 5 more blocks. -36. Take it out, put it back in. Alright, so I think 35 is the magic number. No way to know if that's exactly 5 blocks. So we take this card out. I think I have to raise both of these up by 1. Yep. All right, and then we're going to add another band. Yep, I have just enough space to do it too. We're going to add another band around here. So we take another shape card, we put that in, change it to cylinder, hollow, and we're going to make this one 35, oops, 35. This one's only going to be 3. Yeah, I think 3 will look all right. And then this one will be 29. Put that around there, and it should be right. So this one ended up at 34, -34. So this one's too smaller, so we'll go -36. Take that off, put it back on, shift and raise it back up. And there we go. So now we have a little, a ring around this. And you see the difference on the cylinder. There's nothing in the middle of these. It's just a band. Unfortunately for the boxes, the hollow boxes still have a top and a bottom. And so if I put you know, if I try to do the same thing on the box that I did on the cylinder, it'll have a bunch of layers inside of the building that I would have to go back and remove, and it just wouldn't be worth the effort. But on the cylinders, we can do this kind of thing. Now I do want to turn the rain off again. If anybody watches this video and knows how to create a creative world that doesn't rain and turn to night all the time, that would be great if you could put in the comments how to do that. Okay, because I don't know how to do it. Now, I think what we want is, this is going to be our front main entrance right in here. It won't be down here, it'll be up in here. So we'll have to cut into, cut into this, but that's okay. But it facilitates the need to have like a stairwell in front, a little bit added here. So I'm going to add another component, and it's just going to be a box, and it's going to be 11 high, just like that was, and it's going to be, I think, 21, and then depth wise 11. Nah, a little bit bigger. 15? Yeah, that seems better. Okay, so now it puts it inside, so we have to bring it forward. We're going to bring it forward by going negative. Negative 25 plus 11 is negative 36. That's a little too much. Okay, that brings it closer. Alright, so let's go ahead and drop her down. Should be able to drop it to the same as this, so negative 42. But apparently not so much. Oh yeah, maybe. Oh, we gotta drop both of these down by 1, it looks like. Alright, negative 43, negative 43. Okay, now we need to bring this closer by a couple of squares. And maybe a couple of more. Alright, so now we have a little platform, and I think I have to make this bigger, because this is, I want people to be able to walk on this, so we need to make this a little wider. So So instead of 15, let's go 23. Still need it to be wider. That's not much of a walking path. So let's go ahead and go 31. Make it quite a bit bigger. Huh. Oh, I'm making it bigger the other way. Mistakes were made. There. That's pretty decent there, I think. Yeah. And then the staircase will come off, you know, right about in here, so it'll taper down again. Alright, so now what we want to do is add a little shape into the top. So we take another one of these, turn that into a cylinder, make it hollow, and on this one I want to go 7. And again we're going to go 33, and again we're going to go 27. And we might as well automatically raise it up by, I don't know, 25 blocks. That's pretty close. So it's got to go a little higher. Let's go 29. $31. There we go. Alright, so now we just add one more band to the very top, and we'll make that one 3 wide. Oh, that is not a blank card. Alright, make that a cylinder, and we'll make the height 3, and we'll make this 35, and this one 29, and what did we raise this one up? 31. So we'll raise this one up 33. Oops. And there we go. So we take this card out, make it day again, put that in there. Oh, let's move it. We're going -51. Oh, and we got to raise it up. 48. Oh, it's backwards. Okay, that should be simple enough to fix. Because all we got to do is move one block. So we put this in there, and we figure out we just got to move this one block, which is this one. So instead of -21, we make this, gotta add 51 blocks to it. No. We gotta add 29 blocks to it. So we make it 8? That doesn't seem right. No, we make it 29 plus 8. 37. Yeah, see, I told you my math wasn't amazing. All right. That looks right. Okay. So we take this card back out, put it back in here. And boom. Bada boom, bada bing. So we just have to make sure that this is still 11. And it's not going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So yeah, we would have to move this front box out one more, because we wouldn't want an even number. Right now this will have a 2-block center. So we'd have to shift this box out one more, but I think you guys get the picture. So yeah, overall, if we assembled this structure, this is what we would end up with. And it, you know, all I did was give it a little shape. Now, I also came up with the idea of adding, you know, a band in the center separated by probably 3 blocks, like 2 bands that go around the center, separated by 3 blocks with, you know, a square thing in the middle. But I think, you know, that's, if you have creative flight, that's something you could definitely do, you know, a detail you could add. Plus, I think it would be better with some kind of contrasting colored block. But, you know, that would definitely be something that would add a little detail. But yeah, I mean, that's, and the beautiful thing about that, let me turn the rain off again. The reason why I came up with this idea in the first place of adding these extra details is this composer only has 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 slots, right? And you know, I had thought about doing these details on the original structure, on the original composition card, but it would take more than 9 slots. Well, what I figured out was, and I already tested this to see if it would work, I can take this composition card and, you know, let's, I think we can just add it. If we get rid of all of these, if I take this composition card, put it in there, can add this, and we would have to change this back to 0, 0. Oops. See, it adds the structure in there. So you can make more complex structures in your composer than what I originally imagined. And so you can make a complex structure, right, and then put it inside of the another composition card, and make what your overall structure is even more complex. You could theoretically put 8 more pre-structured composition cards in here to make a really complex structure in your composer, and then do it again if you really wanted to. So you could actually come up with really, really complex designs, because in this let's get another blank shape card. If you take and put another shape in here, let's do a torus hollow, and let's make it 15 by 9. Now let's make it a little bigger, 31 by 9. Right? Okay, right now it's inside, right? But you can turn it and then bring it forward 9. And see how it's partially coming out? That's actually really, really cool. I may leave that as part of the design of this. Maybe bring it out just one more forward. Let's try 10. Let's try 11. Yeah, and that, it now becomes part of the design of our, of our building. And it's even, partially visible from the inside, which would be cool. So you could put one on the front and the back. But yeah, just, just playing around with things, you can learn quite a bit. Let's take this card out and put it in, and boom. I mean, it looks a little silly, but I don't know. It's kind of cool too, I mean, that would make one heck of a window too, wouldn't it? But anyway, I'm gonna call this an episode. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, where we will, make further design changes. I think I'm gonna post this video, and let me know if you like the donut coming out of the side of the cylinder. Thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.